Hello, hey. Welcome to Talk Tuesday. If you've been here before, welcome back. If it's your first time, Talk Tuesday is our weekly segment where we go over tips to help you enhance your finances. I'm Coach D, your financial coach, and I wanted to help you to reach and exceed your financial goals while still enjoying life in the process. Today, our topic is going to be Insurance 101, and we're going to just get into just protecting yourself and understanding it and learning a little more about it. So that's what we're going to talk about. So thank you for joining me. And I'm not sure if my intro cut off while I was still, if my intro cut off while I was still searching, or did I get back to my seat before it started. But I was looking for something really quick. But hello and happy Tuesday. Welcome. So let's get started with in the comments. Let me know, list out, hi, the different types of insurance you have. We're going to go over 4 different types of insurance today, but I'm curious to know, what type of insurance you all already have. I'm not asking like companies, but like, well, do you have health insurance? Do you have? I'm not going to get into it, but just let me know. So let me know in the comments. I'm going to just go ahead and get started, but I'm definitely curious to know, what kind of insurance you have, because we all have some type of insurance. Maybe we might not have, all the insurance I'm going to speak about, but we more than likely have at least one of them. Okay, so let me know in the comments, and I'm going to just get started. Then I'll come back and peek at the comments, so I'll be looking, side to side. Excuse me. So let's get into insurance. What exactly is insurance? So insurance is like a safety net. Insurance is something that you pay small monthly amounts, a small premium on something so that it can help you. Hey, how are you? Where it will be there to help you for unexpected incidents. So insurance is crucial to have. Now, I said a small amount, but sometimes your amounts could be higher depending on what you have been through, if you had, different claims, or maybe you had incidents happen, because life happens, but typically it's something that's a smaller amount that you're paying that's saving you from when an emergency happens or something happens in life that's, larger. So it helps you in a different area. So let's get into it. Oh, comments are rolling. Okay. A health insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, rental, dog insurance, renters, car, life, cell phone insurance. That's right. Home insurance. Yes. Come through insurance. Because we need it. We need it. And a lot of times we think about it when it's too late. So I am glad to see all the insurances in the comments. So why do we need insurance? Why does it matter? Well, it's not just a bill, it's literally your protection. Because just think about it. Sometimes we'll overlook it and say, oh, it's not important. It's not important. I'm not going to pay that right now. That bill I'm paying monthly. If something happens, I'll just, pay for it. And then that something happens. And then we have that big expense that we weren't prepared for, or we didn't expect it to be that big. Now, in the comments, someone said cell phone insurance. Now, something, I don't want to say as small as a cell phone, because cell phones cost a lot, right? Nowadays, they cost so much depending on what kind of phone you have. So, saying no to that cell phone insurance. Now, my insurance on my cell phone is $18 a month. Now, I don't know if that's the regular amount, the going amount, or what's going on, but I look at my stuff from time to time, so I know exactly how much I'm paying. So that, to me, that is a lot, right? But something happens to your phone and you see how much they want to charge you for the full amount to fix your phone, sometimes even just your screen. Ridiculous. And we do have someone on here who actually does that. So definitely put your contact information in the chat so people can see it, who works on phones. But yes, so something like that. So that $18 that I'm paying every month is something to save me from $500 cell phone or $800 cell phone. And I think the new iPhone's coming out. I want to say I heard it was $1,600. Now I don't want to be making something up, but I really think I almost heard it was that high. But so just think, something we think is such a little small bill, it's $18 a month. I don't need that. I'm going to save that $18. Nope. That, what you're paying for the $18 a month, is something that could benefit you in the long run. Life is unpredictable. Things happen out of nowhere. You can have a car accident that's not even your fault. I myself, I had a car accident. I was on vacation. I was sitting at a red light. Someone ran in the back of me, and I was in a rental car. Disaster, right? So if I didn't have insurance, well, what I've done, I would have had to cover the car. What if the person that hit me didn't have insurance? So even, thinking of, I wouldn't make a mistake. Yeah, maybe you wouldn't have, but we have to be thoughtful and think about what can happen, what other people can do to us. Maybe we didn't expect that to happen, because I surely didn't expect it to happen. And it was, a shock, because who expects to get hit at the red light? So you're just sitting there, waiting on the light to turn green. We're on vacation. We're all excited. And someone just comes, hit you in the back. So have your insurance, because life is unpredictable, and having to pay stuff out of pocket, especially when it's not on your things to do, it's not in your expense, it's not in your budget. Who expects to have to pay for a car repair out of nowhere? Nobody. Okay. And it can avoid long-term strain. Like, think about this. Maybe you have a hospital stay. So if you go to the hospital, maybe let's use myself for example. I had a baby 9 months ago, right? If I didn't have insurance, oh my gosh. When I look at the bill, so when you have insurance, they send you a what do they call it? I forget what they call it, but it's a statement of your costs for your most recent transaction, I would say, for your insurance. So I got a bill for day one, $30,000. I was like, what? So you don't know how much stuff costs. Before I got on here, I Googled the average hospital stay in the US, and it says the average person stays in the hospital 4.5 days. And it says the average cost $11,700. So if you didn't have medical insurance, just think about it. If you had to go to the hospital, if something happened, you want to get care. So if you had to go to the hospital, could you afford that? What if they say, oh, we're not taking payments? What if they say you have to pay it off in 6 months? Like, think about that. Is that something you can come up with? Is that something you can do? All the more reason why we should be thinking about insurance, like thinking about the big picture, how much that's going to cost versus, paying the monthly amount, whatever the insurance might cost. Like, coming out my paycheck, sometimes I might say, wow, So at my job, they do something different than at previous jobs I had. Where at previous jobs, I would pay my insurance out of my paycheck, and it would be a certain amount. Like, I might pay at my one job, I only paid $11 a paycheck. Living, you hear me? I enjoyed it, right? But at my current job, I have to pay based on a percentage of my income, right? So every time I get a raise, my insurance, I pay more for my insurance, which stinks, right? But just thinking about, just from having the baby, right? And I was in the hospital for 4 days, right? So just day one was $30,000. What I pay out of my paycheck doesn't amount. Gladly pay it. So just thinking about that, just thinking about why we need it. Because of that, I'm going to go over 5 different types of insurance. So let's talk about the different types of insurance that we're going to go over. Let's talk about life insurance. So what exactly is life insurance? Life insurance covers our family if something happens to us, right? So it could cover the service, cover, maybe you have extra bills, assuming you have a policy that's large enough that has money left over after you care for the service. If something were to happen to you, it might pay off, debts you might have, or even, a little left that might go to your family. But think about this too. Not only can you have life insurance on yourself, but you can have it on a family member. Like, there are policies that you can get that, can cover your family. There are policies that you can get to just cover a loved one that is, you're paying it, but it is, it covers them. So it's technically your policy, but it's on them. So you can do that too. So you can go get a policy on someone, a loved one. As long as you're paying the payments, then if something happens, it'll go to yourself to pay the insurance company, or depending on the rules of it, it might say, send it straight to the insurance company, and send it straight to the funeral home to cover it, and then you get what's left. But that's the whole point of it too, to cover the service. So however they have to do it, it will save you from having to come up with all that money. because when someone passes away, you got to have that service. You can't say, oh, I'm going to do it next month when I get my money together. Look into life insurance. If you don't have life insurance, look into it. Let's talk about health insurance. What we just spoke about when I talked about health insurance, as far as when I had the baby. The health insurance is going to cover you for hospital stays, doctor's appointments, emergencies, surgeries, prescriptions, going for just your checkups, your preventative care, just going for your checkup, dental, vision, just all the things, if you get your glasses, if you wear contacts, or if your kids need braces, or you get a cavity, like insurance, you need your health insurance for these things. So that's something you should look into too. If you are someone who just get your health insurance. I'm not going to say if you're someone. Everyone should have health insurance, because something happens. Anything could happen. Anything could happen, right? You could fall, or we just talked about the car accident. What if somebody, crashes into you and then you get hurt? God forbid, we don't want that to happen. But anything can happen. You want to be prepared. Or you just want to get your checkups. Sometimes we don't get our checkups because we don't have insurance, so we can't get our annual checkup. And then, something could be going on inside and we don't know because we haven't got our annual checkup, because we don't have the insurance, so we don't want to pay that bill. Get insurance, get your checkups, because finding out something's going on earlier and then getting it, cleared up, if you, possibly can, definitely you want to do that, versus not having insurance and then waiting until something really big happens, or wait until you're feeling something like inside and it's like, oh, I got to go check this out. No, don't get to that point, because how much do you think that's probably going to cost? Because now something that was small, now it's huge. You know what I mean? So they're going to have to do more for you to help you to get through that, which ultimately leads to what? A longer hospital stay or more procedures. All in all, more money. So do things where you get your insurance cheaper on the front end. Paying your monthly definitely balances out than that. And look into it. Compare them. You don't have to go with what someone suggests to you. That's sort of things that people don't often do, unless, if you're getting through your employer and they might say, okay, we have this one, we have this one, and we have this one. Even if it's that, compare them and see what's best for you. If you're someone who, maybe your family is going to the doctors all the time, right? So you might want to get one that's has a smaller, like, okay, so for instance, for me, I have the plan where I pay more for it, but I can go anywhere I want to go. And my limit to before the insurance covers it is smaller. Versus if maybe you don't go to the doctors often, or you don't have a lot of things going on, or, you're someone that's, pretty healthy, maybe you might want to get one that's very high until the insurance kicks in, so that you're paying smaller amount monthly, because nothing's going to be happening. You're not going to need it, and then there's like a middle one too. So that's why I said, just compare them. And when you're comparing them, think about life. Think about who's going to be covered on this plan. If it's just me, think about myself. How often am I doing this? How often am I doing that? And think about that. Hey, thank you for hopping in. That's correct. Prepare for the unpredictable, because you never know what's going to happen. So be prepared. Let's talk about auto insurance. So auto insurance, that's covers damages on your car, on other people's cars, medical expenses if someone gets hurt in the accident. Speaking of, the accident I told you guys about earlier on the live. So, having insurance for me, for myself, even though someone hit me in the car, then my insurance was able to cover it, because not only was it not my fault, but it was out of state. So then you have to get home, get stuff squared away, let your insurance company know so they can contact the other insurance company. Then we had the rental car company all tied in, right? So me having the auto insurance was helpful for me, because what I done, it was not my fault, right? But I paid my deductible, and then my insurance took care of everything for me. They contacted they got with the rental car company. They got with the man's company who did it, right? And then after they handled it, now it wasn't a quick turnaround. It was took some time, took some patience, right? But then I got my deductible back because it wasn't my fault. But until they investigated, because in the beginning, oh, I didn't hit her, or it wasn't my fault, or I don't know what happened, and then after they investigate and figure it out. But having the auto insurance helped me, because then the rental car company wants me to pay for their car, because I was in their car when it got hit. So having the having the auto insurance saved me from that. So just think about it. So not only so if stuff happens for yourself, if you think about it, if you ever been in a car accident, it might not have been a major, it might just been like a little tap or something like that, but you have to pay for the person's damage. Everything in life costs more now. So if you were to have a car accident or ran into something or hit something, we don't do it on purpose. That's why it's called an accident. But things happen. So be prepared for that. Look into that. And just like I said about your health insurance for auto insurance, compare, check different companies, see what's best. If you already have your auto insurance, review your policy and see if is this everything covered that I need, or if they have something on here that I don't need coverage for that I'm paying extra for, and then you can get your premium down. So take the time to look at your stuff. We have, just like someone said in the comments, renters insurance. Someone said homeowners insurance. So that's kind of the same. So those insurances, renters and homeowners insurances, helps you in case something happens to your house. So, or your home, where you live, could be a natural disaster. Things happen depending on the type of insurance. They may cover it, they may not. Just like yesterday in California, they had a earthquake. I have a friend of mine who lives over there. So I'm aware of that. So they had an earthquake over in California. Depending on, how big of earthquake it is, things can get damaged, So having a homeowner's insurance or renter's insurance can cover getting those things repaired or replaced. Sometimes homes catch on fire. You need insurance for that to replace the things, and some things are irreplaceable. But, to help you to try to bring you back whole. People who break into your homes, and steal stuff, you need insurance to replace that stuff as much as you can. And that's assuming that you keep track of it and you know what's actually missing and things like that. So definitely have those policies. The last insurance we'll get into is disability insurance. Now, this is insurance that you can get through your job, or you can get, outside of your job, but, jobs offer, I know my job offers it. So they have short-term disability and they have long-term disability, and it's different companies that offer it. And I guess, I never used it, but I don't want to act like I know the all in all about disability insurance, but I'm just speaking of just insurance. This is the 101 class. So this is not in depth, but, disability insurance is for if something happens to you while you're at work. So, let's say you don't have enough vacation time to cover it or enough sick time to cover while you're out to keep your income coming. So you're not without pay, because a lot of people can be miss one paycheck and they are done. They are done. Everything's thrown off, So if, you get the short-term disability, that might cover you for a shorter period of time where you're able to get paid. And I'm sure if you, different levels you get, or the premium you might pay determines how much of your income you actually receive, versus long-term disability insurance will cover, of course, for a longer period of time. So, it's something to think about too, because if, look into it. If something were to happen when you're off, you still receive your income, because that's kind of hard to, something happens and you're, short-term, something's going on that prevents you from work and you have no income coming in. What are you supposed to do? What can you do? And you don't want to put the stress on yourself or like, oh gosh, I got to get out here and work for my family. But I, I'm on crutches or whatever, like something could happen. And then you don't want to put that on your family to like, oh, wasn't prepared, didn't have the insurance. Then now we got to figure out how we're going to make ends meet, but family is a team. So a month or two ago, we talked about family and money. So you can go back and watch those lessons or those lives. But yeah, in the end, we just want to be prepared. So all in all, insurance is something to help you to prepare for if something were to happen unexpectedly, so that you don't go into financial ruin if something does happen. It throws you off because life happens. So let's get into when you should. This is I feel like I've been talking for a long time. But this is, and usually my lives are short. I'm coming, I talk, and I'm out of here. I feel like I've been chatting a lot today, but a good topic. So let's get into when you should review or add coverage. And Good question. So the question is, because if you're not watching on YouTube where we're at, then you can't see this question. What insurance is the most important? So, it's hard to say which one is most important. I would vote that, I would say we want to get them all, right? But if I could only start at one, I would definitely start at health insurance. I would start at health insurance. And then from there, I would get into, if I'm a driver, which I am, I would definitely have to get the auto insurance. Um, Definitely next, if not, or two, you know what, too. So, not saying not get the other ones, right? But what if I get the other ones and have a smaller coverage, right? So, with your auto insurance, you might get a policy that might cover your car up to $100,000 if something were to happen, right? Depending on if you have full tort or limited tort. So, limited tort, if you're not familiar, covers if you get in an accident, it'll cover the other person's car, right? But if you have full tort, it's going to cover your car, their car, everybody's covered. So I would say, like, it might say, hey, you get $100,000 worth of coverage. Well, if I can't afford to pay that premium every month, then I'm going to have to take $50,000 coverage. Or if that's still too much for me, then I'm going to have to start with $25,000 coverage. But start where you at least have some coverage, because you want to be covered if something happens. You want to be covered. So maybe you can't afford to, get the full coverage or the maximum amount of coverage on everything as far as the amounts, but get some coverage. So let's not think of, rather than doing which one's more important, maybe try to look into all of them and trying to get a smaller coverage and then work your way up. That's a good question. So I don't think you can do that. But what you could do is at work, like, so for me, companies have HSAs, or I call it HSA, but what is it? Health savings plans. So they have those where you can pay for stuff through there and you write that off. So that's something you can look into, but that's something we only do during open enrollment time. So that's something to do during open enrollment at your job. Look into that. FSA too. I have FSA. I have FSA myself. And then they also have a dependent care one too, where you can pay into that. So these are things to look at in October, when at least that's when my job does it. When they offer, open enrollment and they're telling you what's available, take the time to look at it. Don't ignore the email. Don't just say, oh, I'm just going to keep what I had last year. Look into everything they offer. Read it. You can benefit from things, and sometimes we miss out on things because we don't take the time to look into it. We're like, oh, I had the same, I'll take what I had last year. It might be time to switch it. And then that's what we're talking about. This is our ending topic. When we should review or add coverage. Major life events. When you start what's happening? When you start a new job, have a baby, get married, buy a home. When things happen that are different from, what was going on when you initially got the insurance, that's when it's time to review. So, when I had Dion, right? Then I had to look at my insurance. Okay, so I had this insurance now. How much is it going to cost? Now that I have to get a family plan, right? What's going to be covered now that I'm switching to this plan? Is this one better? Is this one better? Is this one going to cover this much? How much is this going to cost me? Something to look into. So when things happen differently, maybe you move out of state. Maybe the cost of living in this state is higher. So maybe the insurance I had, that was this amount, it's not going to do it over here in the state. What else could it be? Maybe you bought a home. It's the same thing. Maybe the value of the home you're in now. Maybe your renter's insurance or your homeowner's insurance that was originally, I don't know, $200,000. Now you need $250,000, or now you need $300,000, or whatever it was. Look into that. See what's covered. And sometimes your insurance companies too will send out information about updates to your plan and changes to your coverage. Make sure you read that, because sometimes they're taking little stuff out that could benefit you and it saves them money. I mean, that could benefit them and save save you money because they removed it. So also you removed something from me, but my bill didn't go down. You know what I mean? So look into that and see about that. But read stuff. That's a lot of times we miss out on so much because we don't read it. We don't look at it, and we just our mail comes in, throw it to the side, or email comes in if you're getting your stuff digitally and you don't take a look. Oh, I'm going to look at it tomorrow. And then next thing you know, maybe they had a period where you can contest it. You have 10 days to say you agree with this, or 10 days to decide you want to switch, or something like that. 10 days go by, you don't even look at it. So you don't know what you could have benefited from, what could have been different, what could have changed. So check that stuff out. Another time to review or add coverage is during open enrollment, which we just spoke about, which is typically in October. So, that's the time to look at your job. Might change plans. They might change your premium, how much you pay out of each check. They might change your deductible. They might change co-pays. They might change what areas you're covered in, or which hospital, or which procedures. It's important to look at that stuff. Look at that stuff and see what's covered, because maybe you might need to change. Maybe you were on this company, now they're no longer offering that, and then this company is offering something that you were used to, something you got all the time. Or maybe another thing that's important too, like for instance, like a dental, like my dental insurance, right? There was one dentist office I went to back in the day when I was younger. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. Well, I switched jobs, and then they didn't offer that insurance anymore, the same kind that I had. So I got insurance, and it was good insurance. However, the new insurance was not accepted at my dental office. Crushing. That's something to think about. When you switch things, also be sure that places you go to all the time, places you're familiar with, the places you're comfortable with, accept what the change might be. And that's why it's important during our open enrollment time to check things out early, as soon as you get word, so you have time to look. My insurance might change to this. Do you accept that? Find out, instead of being, on the back end and can't do anything because now you got to find different dentists. So, be mindful of that. I have one here, life changes. Like if you start a business, I know when I started a business, I had to get business insurance, something that, didn't even think of. But things happen in life. You might earn more income, and I got to get a different type of insurance. So that's today's topic. So we talked about insurance. I hope this was a really good one. It ran a little long. So I thank you for hanging out and still being here with me. And I hope it was beneficial. I hope it encouraged you to look into your insurances. Make sure you have all of them. Check your policies. I would like to ask you too, when is the last time you actually looked at your policy? If you would mind telling me, thank you. Telling me in the comments, what was the last time you checked your policy? Your last time you checked your insurance policy? We don't want to wait for something to happen to, let me see if it's covered. Nope, we don't want to do that. So, if I don't know, because we're wrapping up, so you might tell me after I get off, but definitely let me know. I'm definitely interested in hearing, when's the last time you actually checked your insurance policy? You looked at it, really looked at it. Let me know. And I'm not talking about looking at the bill, not the bill. Looked at what you have, what's covered. Check that stuff out. And while you're putting that in the chat before we wrap up, I want to let you know and remind you, if you were here last week, I already told you about it. But my money reset challenge, my money reset summit, somebody commented something, and I was looking at that. But my money reset summit is a 3-day summit that we're talking about resetting our finances, right? So the first day we're talking about, let me see if I can tell you exactly what it is. The first day we're going to be talking about knowing our numbers. The second day we're going to be talking about owning our money story, because everybody's money story is different. And the third day we're going to be talking about exactly how to create a budget that will work for you. So I definitely invite you all to attend if you can. And I just put it in the comments, so you can definitely click the button to learn more about it. It's going to be at the end of the month, April 28th, 29th, 30th. It's going to be 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. every night. all 3 nights, and then there'll be replays for 24 hours general admission, 7 days for VIP. Give me 1 second. Comments coming in. It was a very good. I needed to hear all of this. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. It's been a while since you reviewed yours. Okay, so I challenge you, if it's been a while, to review it within a month. Within a month, review your insurance. Just check my auto insurance because my rates increased, so I wanted to figure out why. Awesome. So did you figure out why it increased? And did you find anything that you could adjust that could bring your price back down? Let me know that too. All right, so but I invite you all to the Money Reset Summit. I'm excited about it. So I'll see you there if you do attend. I'll talk about it every live until then. But I see you on Instagram or on LinkedIn or on Facebook, wherever you see me at. Say hi. All right, and if you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe to the channel. I'm still 2 followers away, or 2 subscribers away from my next goal, and it's like I get a subscriber and then it goes back down and it goes back up. So it's playing with me. But if you are watching, subscribe. If you enjoyed this live, hit thumbs up for me. And I'll see you all next week. I'm not sure what our topic is, but I will see you all next week. Same place, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. Have a good evening.